According to Ian Rappaport, who was the first that I saw it from, but it has since been confirmed or seconded by Adam Schefter and all of the insiders. Ian Rappaport of the NFL Network tweeted, sources, Panthers and free agent pass rusher Jadeveon Clowney have agreed to terms. Former number 1 overall pick Jadeveon Clowney, that is.
That he is.
My first reaction is, show me the money. And what I mean by that isn't like show him a bunch of money. I mean, I need to know how much money. Show me the terms. Show me how much money he's making. Because you ready for one of those, I bet you didn't think this was true stats? Jadeveon Clowney had more sacks than Brian Burns last year.
He did.
Now, context, Ravens were a much better team. Madubuike on the other side was attracting a lot more attention. They had a better defense. They obviously had teams in pass situations more, which meant a lot more opportunities for Jadeveon Clowney to pin his ears back and go after the quarterback. So it's not exactly in a vacuum, but if you get Jadeveon Clowney, and I'm talking about a fraction of the price, right? If you get him for a third of the price, less, this is a guy that can help the Panthers. And do you know what else it's feeling like?
A little stopgap.
It's feeling like they actually. I don't want to say this rudely. It feels like they believe there's something to play for this year. They're starting to put together some defensive guys on some short-term contracts, and that doesn't scream to me tank. Which it felt like for a while. They were letting a lot of good guys, or I don't want to say good, a lot of high-priced guys go without getting back a ton of cap space. You're looking at Hayden Hurst, right? You're looking at Von Bell. You're looking at these guys that were released without getting a massive amount of cap savings. And that screams like, hey, this year's not going to be a good year. Jadeveon Clowney being brought in. Jadeveon Clowney is, let me make sure I get his age correct. 31 years old, and he's been around for a while. He's been in the league since 2014. There's a lot of tread on that tire, you know what I mean? So this is a guy you bring in thinking he can help us this year. I don't know about next year. I don't know about the year after. He's been a mercenary as of late, bouncing around the league. I wonder if some of the moves they were able to pull off on the offensive side didn't have Dan Morgan and Dave Canales looking at each other going, if this offense works, we might want to have a defense ready to help them. Right? We were able to get the 2 guards that we wanted. Oh, look at this. We were able to get Deontay Johnson off the bargain basement price. Maybe they're looking at the draft and going, we love these wide receivers. We could get a legitimate number 2 at number 33, at pick number 33, whether it's Xavier Leggett, who's being mocked to them a ton from South Carolina, ironically, because, you're talking Jadeveon Clowney. Whether it's Troy Franklin, whoever, Keon Coleman, whoever you think it is at 33, maybe they're letting their imaginations run wild a little bit. Because if you are thinking, I want to draft as high as I possibly can in 2025, you're not bringing in Jadeveon Clowney. Mm-hmm. He's a guy to help you right now. All right, the term mercenary isn't a long-term. It's like, hey, we brought in a mercenary helping to help us 4 years from now. No, you bring in the mercenary on a short-term, incentive-laden deal, and which is what I hope it is, and then you let him do him, understanding that it's a business relationship, right? He's not going to. Maybe because he's moving close to home, he'll have some connection to the Panthers, right? He's from Rock Hill, South Carolina. But I would not expect Jadeveon Clowney to, bleed Panthers colors. You know what I mean? He's at the Ndamukong Suh portion of his career where he's like, I'll show up, bash some heads while I live in a rented house for 8 months, and then go do the same thing for someone else after that. Win now moves from the Panthers are interesting.
According to Schefter,
do we have
2-year, $20 million deal worth up to $24 million
with
per
incentives?
Sources.
I would say a skosh rich for what I was hoping, right? Because I said a third, a little more than a third of what you were paying Brian Burns. I think you're getting a player that's more than a third is good 45%. Like, he's not close to what I would expect from Brian Burns, but he's a talented, physically gifted edge rusher who the advanced analytics always like more than the traditional analytics. He's a more pressures and more hurries and more wins, pass rush, win rate. He's always been better at that kind of stuff than he has actually been at getting quarterbacks on the ground for sacks. So, you know, if Evero wants him and he thinks that defense can be really good, and if Canales is looking at the offense and going, you know, this NFC South might be within reach, maybe they're ramping up their tempo a little bit.
Might be.
Dennis, let's bring that Dave Canales clip up. We were going to use it earlier, so I know we have it in the system. Talking about the Panthers competing for the NFC South. You see it right there? Cool. This is Dave Canales yesterday talking to the media.
I think we're going to be competitive for the division this year, and what I'm saying is, if we play good football, if we can get the football right like we believe we can, and we can take care of the football, let the numbers take care of themselves, we'll be in the hunt. We'll be in every single game, which will give us an opportunity to be in the hunt for the division at the end. And if we can play great defense and run it, it'll carry us right late into the season.
That is the most confident and most defiant I've heard him when talking about this team. Up till now, it's been a lot of we're evaluating, there's some guys we like, there's some things we want to do, we're hoping to build. That was, we expect to compete for the division. And then to, what day? That was yesterday? Is that what that was? Yesterday, he made those comments. Today, they make a 2-year deal with Jadeveon Clowney. There is a moment when you have a team, and I'm not saying they are actually here, but it might be they feel like they're here. There is a moment in team sports where it's like an epiphany that everybody has at the same time, where you look around and go, yeah, we might be good, right? It's in college, it's usually, some freshman like fits into the puzzle piece perfectly, and you're like, he may have just made us really good, right? He may have just unlocked this guy and that guy. It does feel like the last 48, or actually I don't want to say the last 48 hours. The stuff we've been made aware of in the last 48 hours does make me think that the Panthers may have had that kind of epiphany in a front office since the last time we heard from them, right? Watching film and going, everybody keeps saying this is a rebuild. We might be good. Now, are they actually there? That's a complete other story, and I don't think they are. But they might think they are, which would be proof as to why you make this Jadeveon Clowney move.